So it's getting really cold now in my zone, and I'm gonna go in and take these peppers out so I can put it in a pot and overwinter it, and I'm gonna show you how I do that. Sweet banana pepper. This is a cuminal I'm taking out. And I'm gonna make sure there's a lot of soil on the root wall, so I'm not shaking that off. I just go around, not too close to the root system, do too much damage, but either way I'm taking it out. So here I'm just mixing some soil, and this is just chicken compost, and I mixed it with some peat moss because I don't want it to be too heavy, and I don't want it to retain too much water because that will cause root rot during the winter time. Then I'm gonna mix this soil, give it a good mix. Then I'm gonna water it a little bit. And then I'm gonna put this mix here in a 3-gallon container because you don't want the container too big. You can even do it in a 2-gallon container or a 1-gallon container to overwinter. Look at the root system on it. So what I'm gonna do now is cut all these off. All these extra little branches here, you're gonna cut these off, and you wanna leave it, you wanna cut it back to where the fork is, right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I usually use a pair of shears, but I can't find my shears right now, so I'm just gonna use this really sharp scissors. And I'm gonna cut it back to right here. And you wanna make a clean cut. Okay? Cut all these off. And you want to make sure you cut it where there are growth nodes, so the new branches are going to emerge and the new leaves are going to emerge. Then I usually spread the roots out like so. And you want to make sure you put the roots facing down in the container. Just like so. Then you want to add some of this soil mix on top of that. And you don't want to put it too high in the bucket. You want to put just enough soil in here, because the more soil you put, the more water it's going to have in there, and you don't have all that sunlight in the winter time that you would normally have in the summertime, and so you'll be at a higher risk for root rot in here. So this is what it looks like, and I'm going to go ahead. I have 6 more pepper plants to get ready for the winter, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. I'm losing daylight here, but I'm going to keep going. See this right here? This is a nice healthy branch that's coming off of the lower part of the plant, but you want to make the fork a little bit higher up, and so I'm going to cut all these off, even this healthy one here, and I'm going to let the fork grow from this height. And this is my habanero that I'm going to overwinter this year. And the less branches you have on here is the better. So I'm going to take all the leaves off. It's going to sprout some more leaves, but that's okay. It's not going to be as productive in growing leaves. So I'm going to just cut all these off. This is going to end up having 2, because I don't want this one here. It's just a little too much. So this is what it's going to look like. That's it. These are my pepper plants that I'm going to overwinter this year. This is not all of it, but this is how I overwinter my plants. And if you want to know if it works, look over here. This is a jalapeno from last year. Look how thick this is. This is last year's jalapeno. I overwintered it. It's still bearing for me. And I just have it here on this table in my garage. And that's where it's going to stay for the rest of the winter. I'm going to try to push it to another year, because I just want to experiment and experience what it's like. This is also another one. I'm going to prune all these smaller branches back when it's all done, but it's bearing fruit for me. So until you try it, you may have a different method that works for you, but this method has worked for me. It's working for me, because this is a bell pepper here, and that's overwintered from last year. So I'm going to prune them back when I'm ready, and I'm going to overwinter them again. These one I did it earlier only because they were in the ground, and I wanted to take it out and put it in containers so I can get it ready to overwinter. These ones here, I'm going to let them grow a little further, because the weather is on and off, cold sometimes, warm sometimes, but they're in my garage. I open my garage and they get some really good sun during the day. But this is how I overwinter my peppers, and maybe you should try it. It works. If you have a fail, you'll try again. Because all my peppers that I overwintered did not survive, simply because they were in 5-gallon buckets and they had too much soil in there, so the soil was always wet, and so I had root rot and I lost those. But I had enough. I always do a lot of it just in case I lose any, so I do at least 2 or 3 plants per variety, and I was able to have enough peppers this year. I overdid it with the peppers this year, but I love peppers. I like canning them. I like using them in my salads. I like using them in my stews, in my omelets. Like, they're really good. So I enjoy peppers, and so I think it's good for me to be able to get like more production in a shorter period, and hence the reason I overwinter my peppers. If you have any tips or ideas, feel free to share in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again right here next time on Fifi's Journey.